So last week I had somewhat of a disaster when it came to planning for my trip. I thought I had a site that had shore power, and it turned out that I didn't. But luckily I had my propane stove with me, so I was able to make sure that I had a good meal. So while planning for today's trip, I made sure to choose a site that has shore power. This site has a 50 amp hookup, and it also has a 30 amp and then 120 amp outlet. I don't have either of the adapters for the 50 amp or the 30 amp outlet, so I'm gonna be stuck with this 20 amp outlet today. But luckily that's a standard outlet like you'd find on your wall at your home, so I have a long extension cord that I can run to my picnic table for when I wanna cook dinner in a little bit. The first thing you wanna do to check your outlet is hit this test button. Since I hit my test button and it works, that means this outlet most likely will work as well. If that doesn't work, you do have a series of circuit breakers here. And because I'm only gonna use the 20 amp circuit breaker, I'm just gonna keep this one on and leave these other ones off. I don't want these outlets to be hot unless I'm actually planning to use them. I'm not yet 100% set up for this summer's trip. I don't have any of my baggage that I would normally have with me, but I do have this extension cable readily available for when I need it. This extension cable also has lights on the ends, so I can tell if I have power when I'm plugged into that outlet. So when I'm at my spot over here, if the end is not lit up, then I know that I don't have power, and it eliminates some frustration that I might have with, is my cable good? Is the outlet good? Is my device good? I can narrow that down just by knowing whether or not the cable is illuminated. These sites really are designed for RVs, and I want to cook on that picnic table. So I'm going to run this cable from the outlet under the van over to the picnic table so that I'm not cooking inside of the van. And for tonight, I'll be cooking my dinner in the Instant Pot, assuming I'm able to pull the right amount of power. I'm gonna close this lid as much as possible without putting too much pressure on my cable. That way if it rains later, I don't have as much of a shock risk, because if it rains, then the outlet will be protected by this cover. I think I made it all the way through. This is some perfect lighting to see that little orange light on the end of this cable. So now I know for sure that it has power at least to this end of the outlet. These evenings go fast, so now that I've got this thing hooked up, it's pretty much already time to start cooking dinner. So bear with me when it comes to this Instant Pot, because even though I carry it with me pretty much all the time, I rarely use it. So I'm not a pro at it by any means. And the recipe that I have is very simple. But first I want to get this thing set up and plugged in and maybe preheated. Tonight's menu is pretty simple. I've actually got 2 steaks tonight that I'm gonna cook, one for tonight, and then I'll put one in a container to keep tomorrow night. And then the second course on tonight's menu are potatoes. So I'm gonna throw the steaks in with the potatoes. So I'm gonna do what I like to do, which is to make a medley of things in one pot. And yes, I do have this new air conditioner slash heater that I'm going to be trying pretty soon. I'll set that up later, but that's not the focus of today's video. But since it's in here, it does take up a lot of space in the minivan. So I'll pull my water out for now. Even though it is a mild 70 degrees Fahrenheit today, I'm still going to hook this thing up just to put it through its paces. I plan to make a video about it in a few weeks, and so I want to make sure that I've tested it thoroughly before I actually make the video about it. For my small minivan, it takes up a lot of space, and it has this battery attached to the bottom, so I could run it right now as it is, but I plan to use it with shore power so I can run it all night. And I feel like that'll be a perfect space for it because it's out of the way from my living compartment. And when I go to drive off tomorrow, I'll pull it back down and it will be out of the way. But for now, let me show you what I have tonight. There's my 2 steaks, and this is a pretty good size serving. That's 1.2 pounds, so that'll be about a half a pound per steak when they're completed. Then I have my potatoes. To get my stuff started, I am gonna use a little bit of butter. Let's go get this thing started. The instructions that I read for this Instant Pot say to saute the steaks first, then put the potatoes in, and then run the Instant Pot in pressure cooker mode with the potatoes for about 5 or 6 minutes. So let's get cooking. I'm gonna remove the lid and cook this on saute mode at first. So I've got that on, it says temperature high. I'll also pull this out. I don't think I need that in there tonight. As this warms up, I'll know that it's warm because I'm gonna put some butter in there to give myself a little bit of lubricant as those steaks start to brown. Oh, it's already warm a little bit. I've got something else I want to add in there. Butter's good, but butter's better with olive oil. So let's get some olive oil in there. Just a little mini serving. My only worry is that once I open this, I'll always have to worry about this spilling. Get these things in there before I start burning that butter. Those steaks are much larger than I thought they would be. So I was trying to get fancy with my recipe and I put that butter in there, and I don't normally cook with butter a whole lot, so it's starting to smell a little bit like popcorn. I think I'm ready to get these potatoes in here. So just so you guys know, I did pre-wash these. I just washed them in this bag. I didn't feel any need to pull them out of the bag because why? I mean, it's already got a nice bag that I could use as its own strainer. And pour them in. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I've got the seal closed. I'm gonna hit cancel, turn that thing off. I read that it should be about 5 or 6 minutes. So since this is my first time cooking this particular meal, I'll go with the 6 minutes and I'll set it on pressure cooker. And because I already had the pressure cooker kind of warmed up, it's already on that second mark right there. So it shouldn't take as long to build pressure compared to when I start it from scratch. Once the pressure cooker's done and I eat my dinner, I'm gonna get that air conditioner set up. I'm not sure exactly how I'm gonna position it long-term in the minivan, but since it's there and since in my initial uses, it's already been so efficient, I'm strongly considering taking out that passenger seat and making a permanent wooden structure to put either that air conditioner or to use as additional storage. And this has gotten me thinking a lot recently. The theme of my build has been a no-build minivan camper, but the more I get into this, the more I want to rip everything out, put down a nice floor, build legitimate storage, and I'll show you some storage that I have here in a minute, but make this something that I can legitimately do long term with a more cozy appeal to it. So right now I have my bed and some storage I picked up between Target and Walmart and places like that, but I do plan to do this a little more long term. So I want to get some adjustments made that will make this more suitable for legitimate long-term use. So just to let you guys know, this is a shoe rack that I picked up from either Target or Walmart, and it's okay, but if you look at it, I'm putting a little bit of pressure on it, and I'm afraid that one day I'll hop in and unintentionally put all my weight on it and just crash right through it. But also this last trip I made to Target, I found these baskets that are basically a perfect fit. And so now I have even more efficient storage. And I'm going to use this for now at least, to reorganize some of the storage in the van. So between these two items, we're talking about $20 for the shelf, and we're talking about another $20 for these 4 storage baskets right here. And there's something else. I posted a video last week saying that I needed to get at least one safety thing that I'd never had before, and it's something that I don't want to say kept me up at night, but not having it was always something that I worried about. And so I picked up a 4-pack of these fire extinguishers. So for now I have this in here, but what I plan to do in the near future is start a fire and test one of these fire extinguishers to see if it actually does what I want it to do. I will, of course, do that in a controlled environment. I'm not going to do that out at some campground. So when I get to a place that's safe to conduct that experiment, I'll definitely knock that out. But this has gotten me thinking about my steak a little bit. I usually cook these steaks for only about 5 or 10 minutes on each side. And between sauteing them and the Instant Pot cooker now, I've already been cooking them for almost 15 minutes. I sauteed them for about 5 minutes each on each side, and the Instant Pot hasn't even started its actual countdown yet. So I can hear it sizzling in there, and this little display shows that it's on. So I'm worried that I'm going to overcook these by allowing them to go through that full process. And on top of that, those potatoes either are going to be perfect, overdone, or undercooked. But I'm skeptical that the potatoes will come out perfectly along with the steaks at the same time in the single pot. So as camping season is start to come about, I am planning to camp more and more, and I plan to also make about 1 or 2 videos a week. And so if you have any questions about what I do, or if you'd like to see me try anything, let me know in the comments. What do you want me to try? That's a great way for me to help answer any questions that you might have, and also try and learn something new that I've never tried before. So I'm afraid my trash bag is gonna blow away, so I'm gonna look for some wood, put a little bit of wood in my bag to keep it weighed down while it's hanging on this hook here. The boundaries of these campsites are pretty much picked dry. I'm sure when folks come out here and start a campfire, they grab all the kindling that they can from close to the fireplace. So I think this campsite's actually pretty clean, and I'm not going to complain about that because now I don't have a lot of mess to deal with. But when you need a little piece of wood, there's no wood laying around. I'm also a little bit skeptical of picking something up that someone might have relieved themselves on, because, you know, at night, nobody's going to walk the 300 yards over to the porta potty when they can just relax close to their vehicle. I just found what I wanted. I think this little rock will help me, so I'll put that in there. In fact, I found a second one as well, just to add a little bit of weight to that bag so it's not flopping around in the wind. So problem solved, too easy. Now I'm not too worried about my bag flying around in the middle of the night. I'm still not convinced. It's been a good 10 minutes since I hit go on this Instant Pot. That means those steaks have been cooking for 20 plus minutes for sure by now, even possibly 30 minutes. So I'm super tempted to stop the process, but I want to see if it comes out the way it's supposed to. I know I have a good 5 or so minutes from when that thing dings until it completes the cooking process. So I'm going to take some of that time and try to set up this air conditioner for providing me either hot air or cold air tonight. It's questionable because I'm hot right now. It's like 70 something degrees, I think 68. And the low tonight is supposed to be something along the lines of 44. So I did order one adapter, and I'm wanting to run this hose like this. And I'm gonna run this a little different than the system that I ran last year. So last year I tried a different company's air conditioner, and that thing really struggled to keep up with the heat. I tried it in the summer, and I have a little more faith in this one because that fan in there blows a lot of air. This is a learning and a building process, so don't judge, but I bought this L-shaped adapter so I can hook the exhaust for the air conditioner and hopefully run it out of my window. Another concern with this L-shaped adapter is this has a 6-inch hole in it, and the outlet hose for that EcoFlow Wave 2 air conditioner is a 5-inch diameter. So I also have another adapter to mate these two devices. And the main concern I have with this one is it's metal and it doesn't have any way to hang from that window safely. Plus, metal on glass is never a good idea. This will allow me to close the windows a little better. And instead of having an intake hose dedicated for the air conditioner, I'm gonna leave this window cracked so that the hot air exhausts here. And since hot air rises, the hot air will go straight up and then it will pull cool air in from the rest of the window. The next thing I'm gonna try eventually is to use a pool noodle to seal the rest of that gap and maybe crack the other window. And I was just about to say, I've done all this talking and this thing never actually started the cooking process. But just as I sat the camera down, hit the 6-minute mark. So I know I have about 6 minutes to get the rest of this air conditioner set up, and then I can enjoy my steak and potatoes. There are a few more hoses that came with the system. So this one's designed to go on the back. I don't plan to use that, so I'm just gonna drop that out of the way for now. And then this hose goes to that adapter that I just dropped. I'm not gonna use that tonight. And then if you had another one of these 5-inch hoses, you could hook this up here and then direct the air to wherever you want it. But this fan is so powerful and this van is such a small place that I'm just gonna leave it like this. Use this vent right here to direct the air wherever I need it. I'm really just not convinced that I want to use this tonight. I think if I am gonna use this, I wanna wrap this in something so that it insulates the glass a little bit. I am a little skeptical of having glass directly on this metal, so let's see what happens. Well, it felt smart when I got this piece, but it looks pretty goofy. The Instant Pot says it has about 1 minute left, so I'm gonna stop with that madness for now and just let this thing finish up and see if I can catch it going off and then see how it looks when I get it open. All right, we got it. The last thing I gotta do, and this is very important, is I'm gonna hit off and then be very careful. I got this jet of steam that's about to shoot out of here. Woo! Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how this stuff came out. Oh, wow. You know, I think those potatoes expanded while they were cooking. They're definitely bigger than they were when I put them in there. So kind of like last week's steak, it seems a little soggy on the one side that I didn't sear as good, but on the other side, it looks pretty decent. And so that's part one of that steak. And the other concern I have, because it's nicer out, is there's gonna be flies floating around. So what I'm gonna do is stop flapping my gums, eat a couple of these potatoes and the steak while I can enjoy them while they're hot, and put the lid back on to keep any flies from landing on my food when I'm not paying attention. There's a lot of potatoes in there. So this is not even half of those potatoes. And to me, that's like a perfect dinner size. So let me go one more. I'm gonna have a lot more leftovers than I expected. So don't let me forget, I got this tasty Shake Tasty. I don't want to overdo it, but I just want a little bit of seasoning. I think the steak is the best, and then some of this I can soak up with those potatoes at the end. Get this covered back up. And just to be safe, I'll go ahead and unplug this so that, I don't know, I just don't want that plugged in if I'm done cooking with it. And it'll give it a chance to cool off. But before I sit down, I do want to get a drink, so. So I also forgot to get new coffee, so I still have that same instant coffee that I had last week. Unless you're drinking like a Starbucks premium coffee, basically all black coffee just tastes bad either way. But it's a taste that I've grown accustomed to liking every morning. I should have made some ice with my ice maker. What was I thinking? All right, guys, moment of truth. Let's see. Did I overdo the steak? Did I turn it into a shoe heel? It's definitely well done. And again, that's not the best way to cook a steak, but how does it taste? I dried it out. And with every good meal comes a great mess that I have to clean up. So first I want to store my leftovers for tomorrow. Then I need to clean this pot up so it's ready for the next time I need to use it. So my only real goal with getting this food from this pot into here is not spilling it everywhere. So this is probably too hot to hold. Let's see. I think I can manage that. Let that drain for a second. That was much easier than I thought it would be. Get this lid out of the way and seal this up. And part of that cooling process will also vacuum seal this a little bit. Now, I've always been told to let things cool down before you put them in the fridge, but in my case, I just want to get this out of the way. So I'm going to put it in the fridge now. Should I wait, or does it make sense to just go ahead and put it in the fridge where it will cool down eventually to the temperature that I want it to anyway? And then tomorrow, so I don't waste the steak, I'll go ahead and chew through this boot heel and suffer through it. It doesn't taste bad, it's just very dry. And after that 30 minutes it took me to eat, this steak is still pretty warm. So the only issue I can see with putting it in here is going to be maybe raising the internal temperature of my fridge. You know, while I'm in here, I'll get one of my favorite drinks out. That one's rock hard. Hopefully I have one in here that's not frozen solid. All right. All right, that one's not frozen. Perfect fit. Maybe I should have prioritized hooking this air conditioner up before I got comfortable, because I feel like I may end up having some regrets. Let's see if I can get that in there without pulling it out too much. Let's get this thing extended out. Let's see. And there's probably someone out there that works on HVAC systems looking at my little elbows thinking, what the heck am I doing? Yeah, it's a bad idea. And I need to put my bug protectors up too, because I don't want bugs getting sucked into the window as they float by. Tonight I'm only going to need one of these, because since I'm using this HVAC system, I'm going to leave the rest of the windows sealed up tight. So that might actually work like that, but I still want to make it better for next time. This could also be a lot less complicated if I elected to just not use the heat vent, but I want to use this thing as it was designed, so let's see what we get here. All right. No, it's not going to work, is it? Oh, all right. Now I know the metal part won't fall out, but can I keep this hose stuffed in here? And in fact, that improved my little angle here a little bit, so let's put some of this up here and see. What do we get? You know, I think that's good enough. Let me get this thing cranked up. I'm going to hook the shore power up in a little bit, but I do have a battery fully charged. This battery should run this thing the way I'm going to run it for a few hours. Hit the power button here, let this system start up. And what I want to do is set it on, and that fan is loud. Hopefully that's not blowing out the microphone here. All right, so I'll give that a little while to cool off. I can hear the Freon moving around in there. Now that I've got this at least started, I'm going to shut these doors to give it a fair chance to cool the van off. And I can't forget to roll up all these other windows. And if you made it this far in the video, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed. I want to thank you in advance for doing that. My goal is to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the summer, and I'm about 70% of the way there. So those of you that are subscribed, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And I really enjoy doing this kind of content. As the air conditioner cools off the van, I'm going to put this sensor in the van somewhere over here, and I'm going to set this other one. I want to put it on the van, but I think I'll just set it under the van. I'm not expecting it to rain tonight. Assuming I don't forget about this and run it over, it should give me a pretty accurate idea of what the temperature is outside of the van all night. And realistically speaking, we're starting with about 74 degrees indoors and 77 degrees outdoors. Now that's the van's temperature after sitting here for about 2 hours with all the windows up and the doors open. So we'll see in about an hour or so what the real temperature is inside of the van. Before I figure out all the temperature stuff, let me clean up this mess from my dinner so I can leave my campsite looking nice while I'm sleeping tonight. I was kind of expecting that RV to come park next to me. There is a spot right next to me, and if they did park right next to me, it might make me a little more self-conscious about talking into my camera. I honestly can't imagine how stressful it must be to back one of those large RV trailers up with a truck like that, because most of these sites are back-end sites and not pull-through sites. So I guess if you're driving, you know, 5, 10, whatever hours a day to get to a campsite, if you're going somewhere far and you plan to stay in that same spot for multiple days, spending 20 minutes, you know, getting your site lined up probably isn't a big price to pay for the comfort of living in a large RV like that. Before I get too cozy, I am going to get that shore power hooked up to the air conditioner so I don't burn that battery down. This air conditioner has a pretty beefy cable on the end and it says indoor use only. So I'm going to pull this outdoor extension cable into the van. EcoFlow claims that this air conditioner doesn't need this drain. It has like a self-draining function, but I figure since I have it, why not go ahead and use it? Now I'm running off the battery and I haven't tried this before, but I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in. The battery gauge on the top says it started charging immediately. I'm glad I hooked this little elbow up. Even this thing is starting to warm up a little bit. I'm not saying it's scalding hot, but it is pulling the heat out of the van. There's got to be a better way to do this, but this is perfect for tonight. Looks like the camp neighbor over here finally got his thing set up. Took about 30 minutes from when they first pulled up beside me until now to get them parked fully. Actually starting to feel a little cool in there. One thing I forgot last week that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget this week is my Crocs. I don't like to wear my shoes in the minivan. Gotta stay comfortable while we're camping. There's just something refreshing at the end of a long day, getting them shoes and socks off and putting your feet in something a little more comfortable. This air conditioner is set on the max fan setting right now, so it does sound a little louder than it would otherwise normally sound. Let's see if I can't do this without messing this up. All right, got that a little better placed in my compartment here. I think I'm going to try to put my curtain over the top and isolate that compartment from this compartment. The first thing I like to do is put those visors down so that when my curtain rod is up, it isolates the top half of the van from the outside. I like to have these set up pretty much anytime I'm stopped. Oh God. It hasn't really made much of a difference with respect to the actual temperature in the van, but that thing is blowing hard and I can feel that air all the way over here. I still need to sew the felt on these new windshields, but they still work pretty good. Couldn't honestly ask for a better fit than that. One more of these. And this last one kind of seals the deal. Getting ready for the night. All right, I'm set up for the night and I don't see any mosquitoes in here or flies, so I think I did okay. I've been sitting in the van for about 20 minutes charging my phone, and this thing's been running on max. And I've had this sensor sitting over here, and I'm actually pretty amazed that it's dropped the temperature over here to 62 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm actually gonna have to turn this thing off in a little bit, which kind of surprises me. It's total overkill to have this air conditioner running right now, but it's going to give me a couple of benefits. And I think the biggest benefit that it's going to give me tonight is it's going to keep my windows from getting fogged up while I'm sleeping. And since I do have shore power, I have the air conditioner turned on right now, But in the middle of the night, if I get cold, I can simply turn on the heating function. Besides taking up a lot of space, this thing is actually really useful. I probably should have waited to change out of my shoes and into my Crocs, because I do want to walk my trash bag over to the dumpster, which is probably about 500 yards away. I'll still do that anyway. It's like a perfect temperature outside to go do that. I'm gonna check out this washroom here and see how it looks. Luckily, I'm a registered camper, so I shouldn't have any problems with that. This one's actually really nice inside. I know the host manages it, so they do a pretty decent job of keeping this clean. This one also has a pretty nice shower stall in there as well. It's getting a little late, so I'm gonna get in my sack and get some sleep. It's about 11 o'clock at night. Something interesting, right now the outside temperature is 53 degrees and I have the EcoFlow Wave set on 72 degrees and it's pretty much 72, 73 degrees in here right now. I think I like this thing. It does require shore power to run as much as I've been running it, but I plan to have shore power for the most part wherever I'm going. So it's not a bad idea for me to find a permanent spot in the minivan camper for this air conditioner system. So it's another beautiful morning out here at the campsite. And I had this air conditioner running on the heater mode all night long, and it was a little noisy, so occasionally it would make a noise just like a regular house or window air conditioner did and wake me up. But I'm sitting at 75 degrees inside, and I had this thing turned up to the max for the last 10 minutes just to kind of warm it up as I got out of my sleeping bag. It only got down into the 40s, so you know, it's not like I tested this thing to its extreme limits, but when I do have it running on max, it's not as loud as it is if you're running it at a lower temperature. And I believe that's because at those lower temperatures, the compressor cycles on and off and does that to manage the temperature. One thing about this heater is when it's in heat mode, it's actually a heat pump. So it's not like an electric heater that has an element that gets hot. It actually uses the compressor to cycle through the Freon. In this case, suck the cold energy out of the air in the van and then push it through that exhaust vent out of the van. My two little Goal Zero lights never died last night, but I have them set up there so they can soak up some more solar power and be fully charged for the next time I use them. I did forget my little spotlight that I use, and so if you saw my clip from last night, that's how it looks without the spotlight, but when I have a spotlight, it looks much clearer. Thank you so much for watching my video, and if you enjoyed it, subscribe, and I'll see you on my next adventure.